Pulled from my bike for a second gear overhaul. I left pretty much all the hoses and boots on, as you can see. Brought it down to the heated shop and just finally going to take it apart now and do an investigation as to what all is bad, what needs to be replaced. Thought I would record it since there's plenty of how-tos but no video of this as of yet that I'm aware of. You notice mine's a California bike. I have the California emissions stuff right here. I'm going to take that off first. So that's the only difference that should be of note to you guys. Minor difference between 96 and 97 plus won't be relevant in this teardown or in reassembly. I ran over with it pretty quick with simple green, blew off anything loose. There's still plenty of grunge over on the front sprocket side. Clean up individual parts as I go. But a good idea to try and get most of the loose stuff off before you open things up. Spark plugs, of course, in there, blow that out. Even though they are taken all the way apart, you could clean everything, but why make more work than you need to? So as of right now, I'm going to try and take off this California stuff, and we'll see how it goes. This is a 14mm mount on each side, plus this hard piping going into the exhaust jacket here, which is hose clamps, warm drive hose clamps, with some type of an O-ring in there for sealing. Never had these off before. So hopefully it'll just slide off and I can reuse them, and we'll see how that goes. I could pull all this off. Some people like to get rid of the California. Sometimes people ask about it. There's really not that much stuff. There's this plus a charcoal canister up on the back side, which you can't see at the moment. And, I could eliminate a lot of hose routing, but I figure I might as well put it back the way it was. So with that, there's a nut on the back side of these main mount bolts. They're 14mm. Have to get a ratchet back in there. It's tough to see, but this is the outside pipe. Here's a mount. Goes through, nut on the back side. Very good and hard and tricky to get a wrench in there for the California stuff. Got the left and right brackets off. These nuts here. It is a 6mm if you want to do that, or Phillips. Undo these worm drive clamps across the way, and there's 4 of them. And then in theory I should be able to wiggle off the California stuff. Seems to have missed one bracket over here. Pretty obvious. It's a 10mm going to the front of the block. The oil cooler crossover line. This hard line here, upper banjo, lower banjo, down by the oil filter. There's the only way of pulling these off. As far as these actual clamps go, I didn't need to undo them because the the right angle bands on the hard line just plugged into the block there by the exhaust ports. And they just wiggled right on out. Not entirely sure if there's a gasket in there or not. An O-ring rather, we'll see. Or if it's just a press fit. I'll take a look later. There's a bracket holding the hard line to the block. It's a 5mm cap head screw. Okay, oil hard line removed. Mindful of the banjo bolts, and there's 2 copper crush washers, one for above and one for below. There's 2 of them. Sometimes they'll stick on the block, sometimes they'll come out. And just be aware that you keep them. You should replace them technically. I myself and a lot of other people have reused copper crush washers a lot, but technically replace them. There's a hose leading from the emissions back to the motor. Whenever separating a hose, piece of tape on each side, mark it so they're the same, so you know that this number 1 and this number 1 go back together here. Now the main part of the emissions is free. There's a little canister here. It's just an exhaust gas for circulatory system. Charcoal canister still mounted to the motor. I'll take that off a little later. You'll see it then. But this is primarily what the California system is. If people want to take it off, savings is a couple pounds, which on a race bike I'm sure matters. Haven't decided if I'll put it back on yet or not. Most likely I will, because I just like putting things back the way they were.